I hope to tell you what Atlantis was and who was in it. I know there's so many stories out there that it was different races and the Lemurians, etc., etc., but we have to go by the ancient texts. Now, I know I've said this many a times before, but the ancient text, hundreds of thousands of these found in the 1800s, and they all have a complete narrative. The brand new text, language that actually has Aramaic, Babylonian, etc., that follow on from that. So we have to agree these are real. So now we know they're real. The Anunnaki actually say in their tablets that they build their cities in circles, which is very interesting because when you go to Plato's description, they're in concentric circles. So the Anunnaki actually also build. Now, the Anunnaki were around when the Atlanteans would have been around. So the Anunnaki never wrote about another alien race whatsoever. So we can only then assume that it was the Anunnaki. Now, there were different factions at this time. So this was the time when Ra was Marduk. Marduk turned into Ra and had issues with Iana. And all these different locations had different factions of groups. Enlil's groups, Enki's groups, and obviously their offsprings ended up creating their own groups, and so there was so many different factions. So what happened is Iana managed to persuade Enlil. Enki agreed, but he thought no one would know where the nuclear weapons were. So if you watch my other videos, you'll see that there was nuclear weapons brought by Alalula when he first arrived. Enlil knew where they were. So anyway, Iana managed to persuade them to try and blow up, Marduk. However, they didn't succeed. But what they did do with the 7 nuclear weapons is wipe out many of these type of locations. And we know that because there's here it says researchers find proof of ancient atomic war. That's in Mesopotamia, in India as well. So we know that there was these atomic explosions, and even the Bible talks about flesh rotting, etc., etc. So we know roughly the time that happened because of researchers, plus obviously the time that the book talks about Iana wanting to attack Ra. So the logic is that it was one of those cities that got destroyed by one of those missiles, rockets, nukes, and it just makes sense. Wow, we now know who the Atlanteans are, thanks to my last video. After 30 years of research, I think I concluded it quite successfully. No one's debunked it. And so the Atlanteans basically were the Eygpt, which were the young Anunnaki, which, if you don't know who the Anunnaki are, please go and watch my videos or do some research. So basically, the Eygpt were warned, along with the other cities that were about to be destroyed, to vacate the cities. Now, the cities that the Anunnaki built are in circles, and that's exactly what Plato said. Now, the Eygpt were Anunnaki, even though they were the younger ones, and they had technology. So when they left and travelled to Egypt, they would then tell their story that their city's just been destroyed, which makes sense. So if you're interested in finding out more, watch the previous video to this, or start from video 1 onwards, because hey, you know the Egyptian god Ra? Well, he was actually Marduk, as you probably already know. And he was, at this time in my videos, I'm doing it in order, but at this time he was being attacked by the rest of the Anunnaki because he was trying to take over the planet. And they used their terror weapons, which was basically some sort of nuclear weapons, which was proof of if you watch my previous videos. And he was lucky because he went to a place called Babili, and the winds from the radiation didn't actually go there. They blew the opposite direction. So he was saved after all of these annihilation of cities. And Enlil and Enki had a meeting, and they said, what's going on? And Enlil said to him, actually, Galzu already told me about this in a dream, told me everything that was going to happen. Enki was like, really? Why didn't you tell us? And Enlil was, well, you know, destiny, this, that and the other. So guess what happens next? Follow and watch. Well, Enlil and Enki had a good discussion about Marduk and the fact that the emissary of the creator of everything supposedly came to Enlil one night and told him what was going to happen in the future, and that future has now happened. at their point in time, and Enlil and Enki were saying, well, if that was meant to be, that was meant to be by the creator of everything. And if that's the case, then Marduk has to be given the rulership of Earth. Now, they had these a ranking system where Enlil gave himself 50 points, and Enki was actually only on 30, believe it or not. So they are about to transfer the 50 rank to Marduk. And guess what happens next? Subscribe, follow, watch, like, kiss me, whatever you want to do, just keep watching. This is actually quite sad. So Enlil says to Enki that him and Ninurta, who was actually supposed to be taking over Earth, will not stand in Marduk's way, and they will go across the ocean to where they were mining and continue the mining operations, and will probably never see Enki again, his brother. So Enki, they shake hands, well, wrists, and Enki leaves, and they never see each other again. So Enki goes back to his land in Mesopotamia, the land that he was ruling, which is now going to be ruled by Marduk. And he decides that this history of everything that's happened, including Gaozu and everything, needs to be written down for us in the future to read, for me to read out to you.